This evening, Manly split over the sacking of Jeff Tuvey. The club legend will be let go at the end of the season to the protests of some board members. Hello, I'm Peter Wilkins and this is Grandstand. It's good to have your company. Manly coach Jeff Tuvey has been sacked but will coach the team for the remainder of the NRL season. Tuvey played 286 first grade games for the clubs and will be replaced by Trent Barrett. But as Jennifer Browning reports, the move hasn't pleased everyone at the Sea Eagles.
It was rugby league's worst kept secret, but the Sea Eagles finally confirmed Jeff Tuvey won't be around to coach the team next year.
I'm devastated about it, actually. I think it's very unfair.
So we're all very sad that he's been given the marching orders.
Well, my view, big mistake, huge mistake that Manly have made.
The club legend will be paid out in full for the 2016 season. In a statement, Manly CEO Joe Kelly thanked Tuvey for his service and commitment to the club, but Tuvey's sacking hasn't been popular with everyone at Brookvale. The board of the Manly Warringah Rugby League Football Club, which includes club legends Cliff Lyon and Mal Cochrane, says it's bewildering to anyone who follows the game that a coach who during his tenure has taken his team to every final, including a grand final, and currently sits just 2 wins outside the top 8 should be treated in this manner. The club has lured Penrith assistant and former New South Wales and Australian 5/8 Trent Barrett as coach for 3 years.
Baz will be a fantastic coach, so I've got a lot of time for Trent. He helped us a lot out here.
Roosters centre Sean Kenny-Dowell has returned to training after being admitted to hospital over concerns for his mental welfare. He was charged with a number of alleged domestic violence offences.
There's been a lot of stress involved, I guess, for everybody, and he's a lot clearer on that and ready to get back into it.
The Kiwi international won't play against the Bulldogs on Friday night. Jennifer Browning, ABC News.
Joining me in the studio is Grandstand Rugby League commentator Andrew Moore. Andrew, welcome. Deep divisions have been revealed within the Manly club. Some sections saying he hasn't been treated with the respect he has earned and deserved. How did it come to this?
Well, it's been brewing really since before the season kicked off. The rumours about Jeff Tuvey's demise. I don't know how he's got through the year as well as he has, and he's held himself with great dignity right throughout the year. He hasn't dodged the questions. He's become sick of them, no doubt. But it's been well known for at least 2 months that Trent Barrett had signed a 3-year deal to coach Manly from next year on. So their treatment of someone who's been such a great clubman, I'm not surprised watching Jen's report there that so many Manly fans and former players, some legends of the club like Cliff Lyons, are so discouraged by what's happened.
So in that respect, is it the right decision, given that he made a preliminary final, a grand final, a semi-final, and there's still an outside chance of making the finals this year?
I think it's a horrible decision. Honestly, it's not based on football. His record has been terrific at Manly. Everyone wants to tell you who is behind this, that he's lost the players and all of that sort of thing. They don't beat the Warriors last Sunday if he'd lost the players. He hasn't lost them. I think he's had some issues with a couple of key players in there over the last couple of years. But all in all, he's the coach. He runs the joint, not the players. And I think the way he's been treated this year, with Trent Barrett openly coming to the club for at least 2 or 3 months. The way he's had to deal with the rumour and innuendo over a long period of time from people I'm sure he's had a lot of faith and trust in over a long period of time, I think it's disgusting how they've treated Jeff Tuvey.
We'll leave Trent Barrett alone for the time being. He'll have something to prove, no doubt. But you've segued us to that Warriors performance. There is an irony there that they've produced one of their best performances of the year, and he's been sacked a couple of days later. The Warriors have been good this year.
Yeah, they've been really good. And Manly were very good on Saturday night over in Auckland, especially when you consider 14 players had been told they're not really wanted next year. Now, a few of them may well dig their heels in and say, we're sticking around. And I've no doubt that was a fair bit behind their performance as well, players saying, we'll show you. And maybe that will work for the rest of the year as they're only 4 points out of the finals. But again, if you'd lost the players, they don't produce a win like this against the Warriors. Admittedly, the Warriors lost their key player before half-time, Sean Johnson, but Manly played extremely good footy, and if they keep playing like that, maybe they can make a late charge over these last 6 weeks.
Without Sean Johnson, are the Warriors gone?
I think they are. I know Matt Elliott is a huge fan of young Lolohea, who's going to replace Sean Johnson at halfback. He seems to think he's a star of the future and can get the job done, and he had experience coaching Lolohea. But they're enormous shoes to fill. I mean, Sean Johnson is the leader of that team. He's not the captain, but when he plays well, they win games. If he's slightly off, they don't. He carries the fortunes with him, and that's a huge blow. Any team would suffer, and we've seen that often this year when they lose their star playmaker, and Sean Johnson certainly that. I can't see them making the finals.
That's on the downside, definitely, and the coaching decision, perhaps, as well. On the other side of the ledger, Queensland going brilliantly. The Cowboys last night. Really, we had the microscope on two ends of the competition. One team which can't get out of its way at times, and another team just seemingly destined for a grand final.
And first half was a pretty good battle, but then the Cowboys decided to flex their muscle. Parramatta went AWOL, and their roster's not all that flash at the moment with injuries and so on. But when this team clicks into gear as it did in the second half last night, they're the best attacking team in the competition. And to have Brisbane, who I think are without doubt the best defensive side in the competition, who also have points in them, they're quite rightly 1 and 2 on the table. Those positions reflect how good they are. I do have a feeling, you put this on me a few weeks ago, that it is the Cowboys' year, and I saw nothing again last night to change that idea.
Still, we have the Broncos there, absolutely entrenched. They keep on winning, and they put together another scintillating performance.
Well, maybe the Cowboys watched that performance on Friday night when they blitzed the Gold Coast 34-0. I think the scary part for other teams is that Brisbane weren't at their best on Friday night. Defensively, they were. In attack, maybe not so much, but I think they knew they had the game in the bag. But it's going to take a very good side to beat Brisbane. I mean, they're the two standouts. I know everyone's saying the Roosters are there. South Sydney made a point known last Friday night as well that they're still around, and I think they will make a charge as well. But Brisbane and the Cowboys are the two standouts so far, no doubt.
Let's have a look at a couple of incidents from the weekend. First of all, Marty Tapau with the swinging arm. He later apologised to James Maloney, but it looked ugly at the time. Some people were saying if you don't get sent off for that, what do you need? He's got 3 weeks.
I think what's been lost in all of this is the applause for people that he was sent to the sin bin, because the sin bin's never used these days either. But for an incident like that warrants a 3-game suspension, you should be sent off. And I'm either get rid of the rule or invoke it, one of the two, but the referees aren't sending anyone from the field. It looked terrible. A bloke on the ground. Marty Tapau, who, by the way, he's one of my favourite players to watch. I love watching Marty Tapau. I think he's great for the game, and you don't normally see him involved in this. You see him harassing blokes, but that was only one of a number of incidents, including this one. Where is the bite?
Well, Josh Dugan's going to front the judiciary and say he was bitten by Jesse Bromwich.
Yes, that's right. So Jesse's before the judiciary tomorrow night. If Melbourne lose him for any period of time, that is an enormous blow for them. He is, if not the best front rower in the competition, in the top 2 or 3. So Dugan complained there to referee Matt Chechen, and he wouldn't have done that unless he felt something. So it's going to be fascinating to see what happens tomorrow night. It's open-ended. The judiciary can decide, A, on his guilt or otherwise, and B, if he's guilty, they can suspend him for as long as they like.
Well, the last 2 precedents have been 12 and 8 weeks. So
which would rule Jesse out for the season.
Absolutely.
So if Melbourne lose Jesse Bromwich, they've also lost, obviously, Billy Slater for the year. Their season's in turmoil. We
discussed last night about Cronulla, the Fafita brothers, and the decision to play Andrew. They did come up with a win on the weekend, and it was another grafting performance from the Sharks, who keep on surprising this year.
They do, though. They've found a way to win. They didn't play very well on Sunday, it's got to be said. That the game after the opening 20 minutes, which was fantastic, really fell away. Lots of handling errors from both sides. But they're the games Cronulla lose. And they didn't. That's got to be a good sign for them. When they had to score points, they did. And this little kick from Michael Ennis proved to be a beauty in the end, with a nice try there for Valentine Holmes. They're not a side that's going to out and out excite you all the time, but they'll graft away, and if the game's close, you now want to start backing them. Now, Valentine Holmes, thankfully, was all right from that. Josh Reynolds copped a couple of weeks for going high, but he's out for a month. Frank Pritchard's out for about a month. Canterbury, all of a sudden, are in grave danger of missing the top 8 incredibly. But the Sharkies are going great guns.
Andrew Moore, we're heading into fascinating times in the Premiership and next year as well, with Trent Barrett coaching the Eagles. Thanks for joining us. We'll look forward to hearing you on Grandstand.
Rugby league just keeps on giving, doesn't it? Thanks, Wilco.
Sydney Swans legend Adam Goodes has been allowed a break from training this week after another weekend of booing from opposition fans. Goodes will take some days away from the club as the industry continues to condemn the fans that have taunted the veteran. Ben Lisson reports.
The Sydney Swans trained today without one of their most successful players.
Adams needs a couple of days away from the football club and take a breath about it.
These are the sounds that Adam Goodes has had enough of.
Sometimes, though, we can all assume that that doesn't hurt him, and it does.
After Lewis Jetta defended his teammate with an Indigenous war dance in Perth on Sunday, the industry has run a campaign to stamp out the booing of Goodes at football matches.
You can never cater to the lowest common denominator, and we're dealing with the lowest common denominator.
We're not saying people are racist, but we're saying if you're involved in this behaviour, we think that's racially motivated.
Today, the League, the Swans and the Players Association discussed the issue.
We've had enough, and this behaviour that's been directed towards Adam has to stop.
All parties can agree something needs to be done, and while the words are strong, action is difficult.
An absolute superstar of the game. He's done almost all there is to do in football, and doesn't deserve to be booed every week.
Some are suggesting a more assertive response, calling on players from rival clubs to dance as well.
We do something that shows solidarity with players, or between players with Adam, and I think that's one way of addressing this booing.
Goodes will make a decision later in the week on whether he plays against the Crows at the SCG on Saturday. Ben Lisson, ABC News.
Fremantle tagger Ryan Crowley says he's relieved to be back training with the club after being banned for testing positive to methadone last year. The 12-month suspension will end on September the 25th, but Crowley was allowed to resume training with the Dockers today. The 31-year-old says it was challenging training away from his teammates.
It was obviously quite difficult because I had to train by myself, but try to keep everything as normal as I possibly could, stick to my weights programs, and obviously had to do my own running and find people to have a kick with. But apart from that, it was pretty much all systems as normal.
Crowley could potentially play in a preliminary final this year if Fremantle qualifies. Peter Neville will retain his spot in the Australian team for the next Ashes test. Australian captain Michael Clarke has confirmed Neville will be picked in favour of Brad Haddin, who missed the second test for personal reasons. Last night, the Southern Stars took the lead in the women's Ashes with a comprehensive one-day win. Patrick Galloway reports.
And that is that. A nice way to wrap up a comprehensive victory as the Southern Stars took a 4-2 lead in the ongoing Women's Ashes.
I thought, all round as a bowling unit we're really clinical today and, batted pretty well too.
Perry was instrumental.
Strong shot.
The 24-year-old scored a quick-fire 67, and with 85 from Meg Lanning, the tourists reached 7 for 241.
Pulled away through mid-wicket 4. Don't bother running for that.
I'm in a pretty good position there at number 3 to be able to bat a long time, and I think as a top order batter you need to score big runs.
England let itself down in the field. Lanning could have been dismissed for 5.
And missed.
We were simply outplayed in all 3 departments today. We can't drop and obviously miss chances to world-class players.
Edwards was out in the first over of England's innings as Australia won its second one-dayer ahead of the one-off test in the series in 2 weeks.
Probably a little bit timid in the first game and really proud of the team's effort. I think we haven't relied on 1 or 2. We've really made sure that the whole team has contributed.
Hoping to follow the women's lead is the Australian men's team. The tourists play England in the third test from tomorrow. Chris Rogers appears to have overcome his dizzy spells.
Yeah, we had all had a bowl at him. Seems to have come through pretty well. I haven't seen him since the net, but all reports say he's good to go.
While Australian selectors are also set to continue with Peter Neville. He took 7 catches on debut in the second test win at Lord's. Patrick Galloway, ABC News.
Australia's Matthew Dellavedova has secured his short-term future in the NBA, signing a one-year contract to remain with Cleveland. The 24-year-old rose to prominence during the NBA Finals with several starring performances for the Cavaliers. Dellavedova was seeking a long-term deal for $4 million a year, but instead has settled for a short contract extension worth $1.6 million. He'll be an unrestricted free agent at the end of next season and able to sign with any team at the same time as a massive salary cap increase kicks in. And that's Grandstand for now. Don't forget, you can also watch us on iView and Grandstand online. See you soon.